locked in. It's a Monday, and this is the Sports Huddle on SEMO ESPN Radio. You can always find us at 1220 AM, 93.5 FM, and we are online, SEMOESPN.com. And if you have a smartphone, you can download our free app. It is a free download. Just go to your app store, whether you've got an iPhone, an Android, whatever phone you've got, you can find our app. Go to your app store, find the search bar, type in SEMO ESPN. It's got the Listen Live link right there, the links to our contests and promotions, the latest breaking news, the latest radar weather forecast, and a link to our podcast page. It is the SEMO ESPN app. Welcome in to the Yuengling Sports Huddle broadcast studios. Yuengling, the iconic American lager, America's oldest brewery. Yuengling, our brand new sponsor here on the Sports Huddle. Eric Sean, voice of the Cape Catfish. Rusty Hendricks is in studio for the next 3 days. You're going to be able to carve out enough time for us here. 3 consecutive days. How about that?
I'll take it. Good morning, Eric. Hey, last night I went, my wife and I were putting our baby down to sleep. She goes to bed about, 7:30, 8 o'clock. So I'm good with that. That's all right. Good. Get her to go to sleep. We're serenaded by, as we go to sleep, with the fireworks. Already starting.
Well, it can be a little annoying, and I guess I'm old get off your lawn guy now. But when my girls were little, Josie was scared of fireworks when she was little, but as they got older, they loved them. And had a buddy that had a fireworks stand and would get a great deal
there you go.
when we would go in. And so we got a lot of fire. We used to have a fireworks exhibition in front of our house, and not for the entire neighborhood. I'm sure they could watch.
Sure.
But just for the girls. They loved it, loved fireworks. Now that they're grown, they're not interested in fireworks. I'm not interested in fireworks.
See, it's funny because right now my wife and I were debating, all right, this is my daughter is 10 months, okay? So she's not even a full year yet. We're debating, all right, do we try to take her and watch some of it? But we're scared that she's going to be freaked out, loud noises. She's not we go to church and listen to some music, things like that. She's a little eerie of some of the loud music, things like that. So we're thinking, bedtime as well. Again, 8 o'clock. That's kind of just starting the fireworks time. We're thinking, maybe we pass.
Loud noises, still a little sketchy.
Yeah, maybe
Do you have a dog that freaks out? Dogs
not
tend to freak out a little bit with fireworks.
Our dog's not a big fan of it either, but she's not gonna totally whimper and freak out. But
okay.
she's not a big fan either. So yeah, I think we're gonna pass this year. Next year.
All right. Yeah, give it another year. You really don't know how she's going to develop, but I'm telling you, my oldest daughter Chloe didn't get really freaked out with fireworks, but Josie did. But as she got a little older, all of that went away. But, man, we would do any fireworks, and the tears would start. It was a little rough. All right, so July 4th coming up, and I guess it's just a complete day off in the Prospect League today. Not a game on the schedule.
That's right.
The Catfish are back home tomorrow. I think that's their only home game this week.
Home game of the
right?
week, yeah. They have a big road trip. They're going to go to Ohio and then on to Pennsylvania. So do a little road trip there. And then the All-Star break is Monday and Tuesday of next week. So they're not back home until – so after tomorrow, Tuesday, then it's the next Wednesday is the next time they're coming in. But Tuesday, Eric, $5.73 for a ticket. It's 5-7-3 night. You can't beat that. They're opening up the home run deck for anybody that wants to go. Normally, it's booked out, reserved.
This is tomorrow.
This is tomorrow. Okay, so anybody can go. They're gonna, you can buy your beverages and things like that there, but you can sit in the home run deck. If you haven't got an opportunity this year, you can do that. So, I don't know if you got to see or listen to any of the game last night. They were in Alton. Now, of course, you know Gunnar Doyle. He played for the Catfish and on with the Red Hawks. Of course, he had a big game this year. I think it was a 9 RBI game, right?
He did. And Hayden Nazarenas said, "Hold my bottled water."
Did it as well. 3 homers, 9 RBI last night in the victory, including a grand slam. That was a night.
That's not a bad night at the office for Nazarenas, who I think
From
headed
Cooter.
to Western Kentucky
Going to
University.
Yep.
So he's going to be a hilltopper, and man, they had one of their best seasons ever this past year, Western Kentucky baseball. So Nazarenas headed to a really good program. Now, he used to be a catcher. Does he catch much for the Catfish?
He's pretty much strictly outfield.
Okay.
They really struggled early on. They were missing some guys, didn't have some infielders. He played in the infield a little bit. Didn't go so well. So he's back in the outfield. He's kind of a corner guy, DH guy. That's what he is.
Did he play for the Tropics?
I
seem to remember him in summer ball.
I think he did. Yes,
that's where he was a catcher.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he played for the Tropics. I know. I was talking to Levi McKinney last night, and he played for Minner, and he said they faced off against each other. So yeah. So Nazarenas, a Cooter guy, went on to Crowder College. I think he hit 14 bombs this year for Crowder. So yeah, he's got some pop in the bat.
I'm just impressed that you can say Cooter without giggling.
I mean,
and there's the giggle.
Yeah. I don't know.
No. So the Catfish, it's a weird way that they do the playoffs in the Prospect League. They won the first half of the season.
Correct.
So that locks up a playoff spot and home field at Kappaugh. So that's big. But you've still got to play the second half, and the playoffs don't start until early August.
Correct.
So it's kind of an unusual way to lock up playoff berths, but congratulations to the Catfish, and they needed every win. I guess the Thrillbillies finished the first half on a 6-game winning streak. I don't understand if it was rainouts, whatever. I think the Catfish were 17-9, and the Thrillbillies were 15-9.
Right, a couple games different. Yep.
Why did they play 2 less games? Was it rainouts or?
Some of it just scheduling.
Okay.
So they'll play the same amount of games throughout the season. Sometimes you have maybe a game or 2 more in the second half than you do in the first half.
So then they would just go to percentages then.
It's just all by percentage points. Yeah. That's correct. So, yeah, I mean, it's a little weird. So you basically get your 4 playoff teams in the first half, and then you'll get 4 more playoff teams in the second half. So, Catfish could win the second half, but it doesn't change the fact that they're already locked in the playoffs. So to then go to the second place team, then they would make the playoffs at that point. So, yeah, they do the first half winner, the second half winner. The good thing for the Catfish, Eric, is that now for the second half, they can maneuver their lineups the way they want. They can use their pitching the way they want. They don't have to press to try to make a playoff spot. They can ease in. If they have guys on innings limits, they can work around that more now in the second half. So
that's a plus for Gary McClure to be able to do something like that.
Correct.
Now, at the same time, if you're Coach McClure, you still want to create a little sense of urgency for your team. You don't want the mindset, hey, we're cruising in to the postseason. Although they are, you still want to be playing your best baseball as you go down the stretch. And we're far away from the stretch, just getting ready, for the second half here.
Right. Yeah, and he's talked about that. He said, look, we're still trying to win every day. That hasn't changed, but it just helps as far as, hey, a guy that's maybe dealing with a barking knee, right? Hey, I'll give him an extra day off. Things like that. But they're still putting their best lineup out there. They're basically, he talked about, look, guys got to earn playing time. So if you're playing well, you're going to be putting in the lineup. If you're not, then maybe another guy's going to be in front of you. So you got to earn it, and that's part of it too. So
the Catfish, big win, 17-0, and not so much that they're able to put 17 runs on the board, but on the road, a shutout of Alton.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive performance last night.
Yeah, so interesting, too. Cam Dohan got the start. He's a Notre Dame guy. He just graduated Columbia College in Columbia. so wasn't planning on playing anymore. Career over. He got a job for, I believe, the Bank of Missouri there in Columbia. Catfish had a couple of guys get moved on to the Pioneer League to play professional baseball. They had some injuries, and so they were really struggling. They're missing guys on the pitching staff. They needed arms, and so you have the opportunity. You can sign guys to temporary contracts. They signed Dohan and said, "Hey, man, we need some help. Can you pitch?" So he pitched last week, not this past weekend, the weekend before on Saturday, just to give him a few innings, and then he got the start last night. Again, a guy that once he got out of college, so since May, Eric, he hasn't pitched at all, hadn't done anything, and this guy went 6 innings last night, shutout ball, pretty impressive for Cam Dohan, and guess what? He's back to work at the bank this morning. It's pretty cool.
Banker's hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a little different than baseball hours. Good for him. Squirrels have a couple of those guys who they have already graduated. They graduated in 24 and then just went to college, not playing baseball, but they still have 1 summer left of eligibility. One of them, Lawson Graff from Scott City, he's a pitcher and outfielder for the Squirrels. And just getting into being a full-time football official. He just finished his first year being a football official. I think he did a little baseball, a little basketball, but a full-time football official. So he was busy being a student and then had to, round himself into form and get in baseball shape because he didn't have a senior year of high school. And they've got a couple of guys who've already, gone to school and played their freshman seasons at junior college, and then still with 1 summer of eligibility left back. So they have been in shape, and they have been playing ball. It's a little different when all of a sudden you got to ramp it back up.
Exactly.
And, so the Catfish idle today. In fact, the entire Prospect League idle. And your last chance to watch the Catfish for a while, that's a good marketing tool, 573.
Can't beat that.
No, $5.73, and you can watch the game out on the Mercy Home Run Party Deck. Rusty Hendricks, Eric Shawn, we're in the Yuengling Sports Huddle broadcast studios. Yuengling, the iconic American lager, America's oldest brewery. All right, massive weekend for the Cardinals as they go to Cleveland. And the one thing about the Guardians, they have been a playoff team, although going into play yesterday, they were a game under 500. So they've been kind of middling, but they are still in the hunt for the wild card slot in the American League. And it was a massive weekend for the Redbirds as they shut out Cleveland by a final score of 5-0. In Friday night's game, and Sonny Gray almost threw a perfect game, Rusty. He went 9 innings and won the baseball game 5-0. He gave up 1 hit. It was a clean ground ball base hit to right field, and that was it. Sonny Gray needs only 89 pitches in the baseball game, and I don't know how you can pitch any better than he did on Friday.
Yeah, he was fantastic, had everything working. Cleveland was, if you watch the game, of course that game was on Apple TV Plus Friday night, so maybe a lot of people didn't get a chance, but Cleveland, kind of their mindset, I guess, was being aggressive against him. So they were going after a lot of the first pitches, Eric, swinging early in counts, and Sonny, to his credit, was throwing strikes and getting some quick ground balls, quick fly balls. But again, to do that 89 pitches, he had 11 strikeouts. I mean, that's impressive, right? I mean, so Sonny, what he was able to do was really, really impressive, had everything working. Pedro Pajes behind the plate deserved a lot of credit. And I thought it was a good gesture by Sonny after the game. They did the post-game interview, and they had Pajes with him in the interview, basically there so he can get some credit too. So it was funny because Sonny even admitted to it, Eric, the one pitch the entire game that he shook off, Pedro Pajes, was the base hit to right field. That was the one pitch that he shook off. So I thought that was neat that he mentioned that as well.
2 hours, 11 minutes for this game. It wasn't quite a Maddox. You refer to games as a Maddox if he goes the distance in under 2 hours, which Greg Maddox did a lot in his career. It would just carve guys up. I thought it was interesting. Now, Cleveland is not a good offense.
They're not.
They just are not. And it turned out probably not to be the correct strategy. Go up there first pitch swinging a lot, swinging early in the count. There are different ways to attack different pitchers. But to get out of there with 89 pitches, and you saw the love Sonny Gray has for Pedro Pages, a little face rub when they shook hands out near the mound after the ball game. I saw some memes on social media of Sonny Gray with the face rub on Pages.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Can someone love me as much as Pedro Pages and Sonny Gray? Yeah, for sure.
So then, what I think is one of the better wins of the year came on Saturday. The Cardinals, now keep this in mind, they gave up 6 runs in the entire series against the Indians. Miles Michaelis gave them all up. And he gave them all up in 1 inning. And the Cardinals are down 6-1 to the Cleveland Indians on Saturday. I'm at Hillhouse Park broadcasting. The Squirrels played 2 games on Saturday, and you're like 6-1, man. This escalated in a hurry, to quote Ron Burgundy. And man, oh man, did the Cardinals find their way back into the game. In retrospect, I still think the biggest hit of the game for the Cardinals was the 2-out flare down the left field line by Alec Burleson to score 2 runs to make it 6-3, and then they work their way back and they end up winning the game by a final score of 9-6. But to rally from 6-1 down on the road, Michaelis not looking very good, gives up a 6th spot in 1 inning, and you still come back to win the game. That's one of the more impressive wins of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah, and they've done that a few times this year, Eric, where they get down early, but they're able to battle back. So they're a team that they don't give at-bats away. They continue to play towards the end. And, big thing for them, too, on Saturday, they got into the bullpen of Cleveland, who's been solid.
They have a good bullpen.
But not quite as good as they were last year, but they got Ciccone out of the game, and that helped. They were able to make, do some damage there in the 6th, and how about Nolan Gorman, the series that he had? Obviously, the big double for Victor Scott in that game to tie it up at 6. So at that time, yeah, I mean the offense continued to battle, and that was good to see once again.
And so Victor Scott, as you mentioned, had a big hit in that game, and he got caught up to by Jimmy the Cat Hayes after Saturday's win. Here is the Cardinals' speedy center fielder.
2-hit game for Victor Scott the second. Victor, you guys were down 6-1, but you never go quietly. What's the key to being able to fight back like that?
I mean, I feel like it just comes down to being relentless, not giving away at bats. I mean, we try our best to come to the ballpark every day to have that mindset, so I feel like we executed it today.
You had a 2-run double in the 6th that tied the ball game. Facing a lefty, you jump on the first pitch slider. Take me through that.
I mean, just being ready for first pitch strike. I mean, I kind of know what the situation is there, so just trying to be ready for to deliver.
Every starter today had a base hit. What does that say about your lineup?
I mean, it just says that everybody comes in, prepared to do their routines. Everybody goes out here and tries to execute, so I'm glad we were able to execute and score some runs today.
Last thing, the guy that plays next to you in the outfield, Burleson, has been making really nice play after really nice play. What are you seeing from him defensively?
I mean, he's getting good jumps. He's getting good reads. So, I mean, the ability to go out there and make plays on a day-to-day basis is awesome. So I would definitely commend Burley for that.
Thanks for the chat.
You got it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's Alec Burleson, who is he's putting a little mini highlight reel together on the defensive side. I mentioned the big 2-run single that he had when the Cards were down 6-1 with 2 outs. I mean, if he doesn't flare that in there, it could have been a much different ball game. And of course, why would you put him in the lineup on Sunday? You gotta sit him. You can't put a left-handed batter in there against a left-handed pitcher. Oh wait, you can. Nolan Gorman, first inning against a lefty.
Uh-oh. Hammered. Deep right center. Way out of here. And Nolan Gorman with a 2-out, majestic 3-run blast to right center. His 7th of the year. And Nolan Gorman is wide awake. 3-0 Cardinals.
Gets himself a spinning breaking ball and drives this thing deep. Good start here for the Redbirds.
If you don't recognize the voice, that is the great Tom Hamilton, who is the voice of the Cleveland Indians. And, of course, you heard from Brad in that particular instance. What's interesting is in one weekend, the Cardinals get an Apple TV game Friday. They get a Roku. If you couldn't find the game yesterday,
right,
it's because it was on Roku. And so they mix and match the broadcasters. Brad Thompson was in the booth with Tom Hamilton, who is the Cleveland Indians broadcaster. Hamilton has been doing it for decades, so he's not used to having to call it down the middle. So when Gorman connects in the first inning, the first word out of his mouth is, uh-oh. And then he realizes, wait a minute, I'm doing a national broadcast. I got to give it a little energy here for Nolan Gorman. But that's what you had, and it was a breaking ball, and those are the toughest pitches for a lot of lefties. When they go up there against a left-handed pitcher, they just throw those breaking balls low and away, and guys, who are not used to hanging in there against lefties turn around and head back to the dugout. Nolan Gorman, his 3rd home run in the last 7 days.
Yeah, I'll take it. He fouled off that first pitch, Eric, in the at-bat, then was able to stay on, like you said, that breaking ball. It was kind of down and in, and he just parked it into right center. I mean, look, he's a guy that has a ton of power, a guy that has a lot of potential, and he's on a little stretch right now where he's showing off the power. He's getting on base a little bit more.
He's on a heater, man.
He's on a heater. He is, and he's got to be in the lineup. He's taking advantage of his opportunity. Look, with Jordan Walker out, he's on a mini rehab assignment right now. He had that emergency appendectomy. Jordan Walker has kind of been passed over. You see Alec Burleson kind of taking over the job in right field. So, Gorman's getting a shot. He's taking
Except
advantage.
Yesterday, we got to get Garrett Sampson in there.
Well, Ollie did explain that. He did say that there was something barking with Burley. He said that he could have played, but he wanted to give him an extra day. That's what he said. So I'll take that.
Easy to say something's barking.
That's true.
But you get a day off. That is good. And let's face it, Sampson had himself an RBI hit. And Victor Scott, not known for his power, but yesterday muscled up.
He'll make his money being on the ground. He's a line drive guy, but this one up in the air.
Yeah, you know what? The hit and run's overrated, guys. 5-0 Cardinals. I'm sorry I ever brought it up. A 2-run bomb, the 4th for Victor Scott. And when you get a home run off Hunter Gaddis, that's a big moment, whomever you are.
Hammy, it's 2025. What are we talking about? Bunts, hit and run. How about homers? That's what everybody does.
Victor Scott muscling up. 4th home run of the year for Victor Scott, and then they would add that made it 5-0. They tacked on a couple of runs. The aforementioned Garrett Sampson with an RBI. Pedro Pajes drove in a run. So it was a very, very nice outing for Matthew Liberatore, who, pay attention now, that's 3 consecutive victories on the mound for Liberatore. He's never done that in his big league career, and very quietly, nobody is chanting All-Star Game, but Matthew Liberatore now, a 370 earned run average after his 6 scoreless innings. That ERA now under 4.
Yeah, I mean, look, he had those 3 starts in a row, Eric, where he was battling with, they called it like arm fatigue-like symptoms or whatever. He had the velocity down a little bit. He was struggling a little bit. They talked about it that they thought it was more mechanical than anything, but he's bounced back from that. He's course corrected. and he's pitching well. To me, he's been the most consistent starter this year for the Cardinals. Look, Sonny Gray has had his nights where, obviously Friday night where he was awesome, but he's also had a few nights where he's kind of blown up a little bit. But for the most part, outside of those 3 starts, he's been pretty consistent. And to me, he's been, again, their most consistent. He's been probably their best pitcher this year. Again, you can point to Sonny Gray, has a lower ERA, things of that nature, but he's been in and out. But it's good to see what Libby's been able to do, and a guy that, a lot of people didn't know coming into the season, Eric, that thought he was going to be a bullpen guy. But he got a shot to start. He's running with it. And now you look at him and you think, okay, now this guy, maybe he can stick in our rotation for years to come.
Got to be honest. When they first made the announcement that Liberatore was going to go into the rotation, I kind of thought, we've seen this. I mean, he had the one terrific outing at Tampa Bay.
Right.
And, there was extra motivation because Tampa Bay traded him in the Randy Arozarena deal. Every Cardinal fan knows that. So he was really good there, but he had not been consistent. You would see a velocity dip when he was a starting pitcher. So you really didn't have high hopes because the sample size kind of told you, I don't know. Well, they do their work in the Cardinal organization, and they thought they saw enough. Dusty Blake had enough confidence. I'm sure the recommendation was there for Dusty Blake. And so they decided to move him into the rotation, hit and miss early, but he was pretty consistent. I mean, the ERA was good, had the 3 games where all of a sudden you're like, oh, man, is he hitting some sort of a wall, a physical wall? Well, at least right now you would have to say the answer is no. It's 3 straight wins and 6 shutout yesterday.
Yeah, and I wonder, look, he's a guy that, he started in the minors some, but it's been a while, so he's been in the bullpen the last couple of years. Are they going to have an innings limit at some point on him, Like, how far are they going to stretch him this year as far as, are they just going to monitor and watch him? I don't know. I mean, that's something I'll be curious about in the second half of play for Liberatore.
After the game, a 3-game sweep. Here's the Cardinal skipper, Ali Marmol.
Impressive, man. Because it was slow at first, and he stayed committed to the plan. Him and the hitting group have done a really nice job of committing to it regardless of result, and we're starting to see him be rewarded for it. But that 3-run homer left on left was big. Different ways of winning. When you look at the ability to string together hits, we hit some homers, but we also took what was given, and at times that was an extra base. It was hitting it through the 4-hole, taking our singles, keeping the line moving. But then our pitching staff did a really nice job, man. Outside of that 1 inning on Miles, I mean, we threw up a ton of zeros. So a lot to be proud of and excited about in this series, and now we get ready for the next. Man, Libby did a nice job. You look at that first inning, being able to kind of navigate that and get that ground ball to third to get out of it and keep momentum on our side, especially after a game like yesterday, man. You come in, you're feeling good about it. You hit the 3-run homer. For him to throw up a 0 was important. But I thought he navigated that lineup really well. A couple walks, but there were 2 guys that we didn't want to give into. And gave us 6 strong. So it was a good one.
So, very good weekend for the Cardinals. I say this, the thought process going into the season from baseball people on the national scene that cover the sport for a living, not much was expected out of the Cardinals. Now, we're a little ways away from getting to the All-Star break, Rusty, but at 47-38, getting set to head to Pittsburgh, play the last-place Pirates, and we'll talk about what they just accomplished over the weekend. It's 9 games over 500. It is 2.5 games behind the Cubs now in the NL Central. There are plenty of Cardinal fans that do not want to hear this question, but Oliver Marmol, if the season ended today, Cardinals making would be a playoff team, is he getting votes for NL Manager of the Year?
Is he getting votes? Yes. Is he the winner? I don't know. But to say that he's getting votes, obviously he's done an excellent job this year, Eric. And Look, I've been someone, I've talked about it on my show many times, that I've described him as an average manager. I feel like he's someone that he's fine, he's solid, but he's not someone that's, a Hall of Fame type manager that I've seen. But, look, this year, I have to admit that he's done a pretty good job. I think he's done a pretty good job with the bullpen for the most part. He's been put in a tough spot to try to have runway with these young guys and try to get them playing time. And I think largely he's done an okay job at that as well. And he's helping this team win, a team, like you said, with lower expectations, and they're in the mix. Now, I would put Pat Murphy's name in with Milwaukee. I'd put Craig Counsell's name in with the Cubs. Maybe some others as well. Maybe even Mike Schilt could be in the conversation if San Diego is there. But also the Giants manager, his name escapes me at the moment, but he would be in there.
Bob Brenly.
Bob Brenly. Is it Brenly? Is that right?
Or no,
Melvin, is that it?
Melvin. That's
yeah, Melvin.
It. Melvin. Sorry. Brenly is the former Diamondback skipper who won the World Series in 01. He's a television analyst for Arizona. Yeah, Bob Melvin.
You're right. Yeah, so he might be my pick because, yes, you could say that Cardinals aren't expected to be in there, but you tell me the Giants were too? No. So they're right now in the mix for a playoff spot. But I don't know. Like I said, I don't know that I would necessarily pick him for manager of the year, Eric, but he would definitely get votes. He's in the conversation for sure.
Yeah, the Giants, they were pretty nice story earlier in the season. They're certainly not out of it, but just lost 2 of 3 to the White Sox, and that's not what you want.
That's true.
As a fan base. We do, though, Rusty, have to tip our hat to the Colorado Rockies, who in 11 innings beat the Brewers. Yes, nobody's beaten the Brewers these days. And Jacob Mizorowski has as many wins, 3, as hits allowed in his career as a starting pitcher. Stat of the day.
Yeah, that's impressive. How about the Rockies? Yeah, win number 19 of the year now. It's still last.
But a tip of the cap. The Cardinals needed a win for the Rockies over the Brewers, and the Brewers cannot get the sweep.
So you're telling me the Cardinals are in a playoff spot as we speak? Is that what you're saying?
As we speak. The Brewers, by the way, have won 8 of their last 10. Right now, the Cardinals in the 3rd playoff spot, wild card spot, 1 full game. They're even in the loss column, but they have 2 more wins than Mike Schilt's Padres. So if the season ended today, Oliver Marmol has guided his team to the postseason. And again, we got a long way to go.
What would be your answer to that question as far as the manager of the year?
Yes.
You think
if they make the playoffs, absolutely. He's getting manager of the year votes.
Right now, would you give it to him?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
Just don't know. Now, Schilt did win it. I mean, the Padres are 7 games behind the Dodgers. Right now, if the season ended, they're not a playoff team. The Dodgers were expected to do what they're doing, although with fewer wins. You could make an argument. Dave Roberts is doing a nice job with all of the pitching injuries, 17 different starting pitchers. Think about that. We're not even at the All-Star break.
It's every year.
17.
It's every year for them.
And, when you bring in Tyler Glasnow and Blake Snell, you have to account for the fact they're going on the injured list at some point.
Right.
Now, nobody's got Tommy John in their future. These are not long-term season-ending injuries. Snell will be back. Glasnow will be back. But when you sign these guys, and they did, they knew well and good that here's the bottom line. These guys never make it, from the starting point to the finish line, ever. They just don't. So you've got to kind of build that in. Hey, at some point, these guys are going to spent some time on the injured list. Clayton Kershaw still looks like he's got it right now.
I think he's 3 strikeouts away from 3,000.
He is.
Yeah.
And, he's not going to catch like a Justin Verlander or a Max Scherzer. I don't think he's going to catch those guys. So we shall see. He should get it in his next start, but that'll be a cool thing. That's quite an accomplishment. And playoff struggles or not, and if you break down his playoff numbers, his playoff struggles come against the Cardinals. And you take away his numbers against the Cardinals, he's been pretty decent in the playoffs. I mean, it's an overblown narrative for Clayton Kershaw in the playoffs. He has been as good a pitcher in his generation as we have seen in a long time.
Yeah. I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Absolutely. Sure. He's walking to the Hall of Fame. The Cardinals now get ready for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, we've got back-to-back 5:40 starts, and then Wednesday, because the Cardinals are off Thursday, they get an early game. It's an 11:35 game in Pittsburgh Wednesday, day off. Then they head to Wrigley. So this is the second leg of their 3-city road trip, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and then Wrigley this weekend. And just a heads up, Friday's opener with the Cubs, 1:20, Apple TV game. Just giving you a heads up. On Friday, Apple gets to pick a couple of games that they want to deal with. Most famously, if you're a Cardinal fan, it was the game against the Dodgers where Albert Pujols hit number 700. That was an Apple TV game, so there were a lot of people that missed that one. But it will be an Apple TV game at 1:20 on Friday against the Cubs. So tonight you've got Eric Fetty versus left-hander Andrew Heaney. And with the way Nolan Gorman is swinging the bat, I got to think you got to stick him in the lineup here tonight, right? I mean, he just showed you what he can do against a lefty. He has never faced Andrew Heaney, so there is no sample size. But with the way he's swinging the bat, I've got to have Nolan Gorman on the field tonight.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Heaney as well is not a guy that's high velocity, right? He's kind of a soft-tossing lefty. So that's why I think that the matchup favors Gorman a little bit better because of that. So, yeah, I think that he's in there. I think Burleson's back in tonight. Got the day off yesterday. So you got a couple more lefties. Maybe you give Victor Scott the day off. Maybe you get Hampson back. I don't know. But largely I think it'll be the same lineup. And by the way, that Cubs game on Sunday is on ESPN as well.
My microphone button continually sticks. So Sunday night baseball for Cubs Cardinals. Sunday night baseball last night. Did you catch any of it?
I didn't watch any of it last night.
You didn't have a baseball game. Tarek Skubal ties his career high with 13 strikeouts. Gave up 1 hit over 7 innings. I mean, he is
good.
He's ridiculous. The pitcher tonight, Andrew Heaney. Again, Nolan Gorman has not faced him. The Cardinals on the roster have hit a collective 161 against Andrew Heaney, the two main culprits. Now, if you saw the game yesterday, Nolan Arenado, it's his 1900th hit. It's his 400th double, couple of milestones. And when he got that hit, he beat out a play at first base, and kind of a weird deal. He's swinging his arm, and he jams his index finger on his leg as he's running. It's a freak injury. Now, he ends up getting a double after that. Pulled him in the 8th inning. And Oliver Marmol said it was a precautionary thing.
Right.
Arenado, after the game, obviously they wanted to talk to him. 1900th hit, 400th double. And he said, he's going to be okay. Now, we'll see. He wakes up today. It's stiff. And if you don't like this matchup, you can put Nolan Gorman at third base, and you say, what do you mean don't like the matchup? Nolan Arenado is 0 for 9 in his career against Andrew Heaney, a left-handed pitcher. The other culprit for the Cardinals is Garrett Hampson, who was 1 for 7 with 3 strikeouts in his career against Haney. I'll give you the Alec Burleson numbers: 1 for 3. Wilson Contreras 1 for 3 with a double. And the only other guy with an extra base hit against Haney is Lars Nootbaar, 1 for 2 with a double. Those are the only guys that have hits in their career. Brendan Donovan, by the way, 1 for 3 in his career against Haney. So Haney has a good track record against this. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to go out there and win tonight, but those are the numbers against Andrew Haney, and Nolan Arenado has never gotten a hit against him.
Yeah, I mean, watching Nolan yesterday, like you said, trying to beat out that run, then when he was heading to third as well, I think on a base hit, he was just running weird. I mean, it was. He's not a guy that has great speed anyway. He's not a guy
he does not.
but he just was kind of awkward looking, almost like he was limping around the bases. So yeah, maybe he's dealing with a finger issue, but it also looked like maybe his legs were bothering him too. So I don't know. Maybe it's time for him to get a day off. But it seems like the Cardinals keep facing lefties, Eric. I mean, and they're a team that they obviously do more damage against righties than lefties. They don't have as much success against the lefties. Now, look, again, he's a soft tosser. He's not a guy that throws all that hard. He's going to throw a lot of junk up there. But this is the type of the guy at times can give the Cardinals fits.
So it'll be Eric Fetty tonight. And Fetty has given up a couple of home runs to current Pirates. The guy who has seen Fetty more than anybody is Andrew McCutchen. He is 5 for 21 against Fetty with a home run. The other guy who has a home run against him, 1 for 6 with a solo homer, is O'Neal Cruz, their center fielder. So those are the guys who have had some success against Fetty. 5 hits for McCutchen. Tommy Pham, 1 for 5. Brian Reynolds, 2 for 10, but 4 punch-outs against Eric Fetty. Ke'Bryan Hayes has a double against him. Ke'Bryan Hayes, who has been a massive disappointment since, he signed an 8-year, $70 million deal, 2022. On the heels of signing that contract, Ke'Bryan Hayes went out and had his best year in 23, where he had a 762 OPS. He had a career-high 15 home runs, and he won a Gold Glove. That's when the string ended for Nolan Arenado. It was Hayes that won the Gold Glove for the Pirates. 762 OPS. He cratered last year, 573 at 4 home runs. This year he's got 2 home runs. It's a 603 OPS. It has been, if you're a Pirate fan, you're like, what the heck happened? It looked like this guy was on pace to be a mainstay for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's under contract for a long time. Not at massive money, but an 8-year, $70 million deal at the time. That was big money for the Pittsburgh Pirates. So Ke'Bryan Hayes, who the Cardinals will see, does have a double against Eric Fetty, but Ke'Bryan Hayes is a massive disappointment for the Pirates.
Yeah, he has been, for sure. He's still a good defender regardless of that. I mean, he's showing that again this year, but boy, he just hasn't found consistency with his bat. Now he's a guy kind of, maybe not quite as drastic, but kind of like Lars Nootbaar, Eric, where he seems like he's on the injured list every year. At some point.
Every year. I think it was 93 games last year.
So that's another guy that's like, maybe he just got to get healthy first and then find that consistent playing time, and then he can have some more success. But yeah, it seems like because of the inconsistencies, partly being in and out of the lineup because of injuries, he hasn't had that. And Brian Reynolds is having an off year this year for the Pirates. He still has some power. He's RBI guy, but his average is way down. O'Neal Cruz has struggled some.
Leading the National League in strikeouts.
Yeah,
O'Neal Cruz.
If you've seen him play in center field, woof. I mean, it's not pretty in center for O'Neal Cruz either. I understand the reason for the move, but man, they're searching for some things. The Pirates are, and their offense, like you just saw with the Cleveland Guardians, Eric, it's not very good at all.
334-1220, our EBOMD Huddle hotline, if you would like to jump in. Rusty Hendricks sitting in for us today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. As the Cardinals head to Pittsburgh, yes, the Pirates are in last place in the NL Central. I don't know if you saw what they did to the New York Mets over the weekend. Not only did they sweep the 3-game series against the Mets, they outscored New York 30-4. That is the biggest butt whooping in a 3-game series in New York Mets history. It is so bad right now for the New York Mets. I think they've lost 12 of 14 or 12 of 15. It was a players-only meeting for the New York Mets. Now, last year they had a players-only meeting, and they took off, and they made it to the National League Championship Series. I don't know if that's going to repeat itself, but right now things are not going well in New York, and you don't want to go to the Pittsburgh Pirates and have the Pirates break out the broom on you.
Do you remember?
And oh, by the way, Paul Skeens didn't even pitch in that series.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the Cardinals I think are going to face him. Was it maybe Tuesday? I think
Tuesday.
Yeah. So do you remember about a month?
He's 0-4 against the Cardinals, by the way.
Yeah, we'll take it. About a month ago, I think it was, maybe even longer than that. Me and you on this show were talking about the best pitching staff in the league and talking about the New York Mets and how much success that they had as their pitching staff. Boy, has that changed of late. Their pitching staff has really struggled. Look, the offense hasn't been there either.
They just put multiple pitchers on the...
Goodness.
Kodai Senga was leading the National League in earned run average, better than Skeens. He had to go on the IL. They just had a starting pitcher rupture his Achilles, gone for the year. Sean Manaea just back, and he got destroyed yesterday. It was a shoulder issue for Manaea. Velocity not where it was.
Right.
All of a sudden, that starting rotation, which was very good to start the year, is ravaged by injury, and they are not pitching the ball well. Frankie Montas, Sean Manaea, Kodai Senga, all guys that have battled injuries. It's a struggle right now, and on the Mets television broadcast, Ron Darling, who is outstanding, after the final loss yesterday, they just got crushed. It was a curb stomping, 30-4. Here's Ron Darling after the game on the Mets broadcast.
Well, if you have nothing good to say, let's talk about the Pirates. Under Don Kelly now, they're 16-9 here at PNC Park, as they are playing much better under their new interim skipper than they were to start the season.
There you go. That was his announcement. If you don't have anything good to say, and there's nothing good to say about the Mets.
Let's talk about the Pirates.
Let's talk about this 16-9 record under Don Kelly at PNC.
Yeah.
That's the way you do it.
Yeah. You mentioned him. Ron Darling's, he's one of the best, no doubt.
He's fantastic.
But, man, this happens, seems like every year for the Mets, too. They have such a, tip-top, hill and valley type season, up and down. And
Alonso's not hitting. Soto's hitting a little.
He's been a disappointment, hasn't
Francisco Lindor not doing a whole lot. Alonso got out of the gate quick. He was the National League RBI leader for a stretch. And then he went through a stretch where he drove in 1 run in 2 weeks. So there have been a lot of things going wrong for the New York Mets, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, doesn't hurt my feelings.
I love that the Mets are scuffling. Really do. All right. The NHL had its draft. The Blues had the number 19 pick. One of the more famous entertainers, who is a St. Louisan, is comedian Nikki Glazer. I don't know if you saw this, but she announced the Blues' first pick of the draft and broke out a little material.
Mm-hmm.
Who did the Blues draft, and what did Nikki Glazer have to say about it? We will check in when we come back. Rusty Hendricks in studio. It's the Sports Huddle. It's the Sports Huddle on SEMO ESPN, 1220 AM, 93.5 on the FM dial and online at SEMOESPN.com. We are in the Yuengling Sports Huddle broadcast booth. Yuengling, the iconic American lager, America's oldest brewery. Rusty Hendricks sitting in with us. The St. Louis Blues got the 19th pick in the NHL draft over the weekend. Rusty, and St. Louisan and stand-up comedian Nikki Glazer got it tossed to her by Commissioner Gary Bettman, and she made the announcement from Enterprise Center in front of a big crowd, and this is how that went.
Get ready to laugh, not at the Blues' next pick, but at this hilarious stand-up comedian. Live from the Blues Watch Party in St. Louis, Nikki Glazer.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to all of our season ticket holders here at the Enterprise Center in St. Louis, Missouri. And to all the Blues fans watching at home on your couches, eating Emo's Pizza, let's go Blues. Yes, I'm Nikki Glazer. I am a proud St. Louisan. I literally live right down the street, so I am so happy to be here. I mean, I'm happier than Brett Hall at an open bar, you know? We went Blues. So I really am honored to be here to announce the 19th draft pick for the St. Louis Blues. Fun fact about me, in high school, I was actually my prom date's 19th pick, and I was traded after the first dance. But enough about me. Let's get to this. With the 19th overall selection in the 2025 NHL entry draft, the St. Louis Blues are proud to select from the Blainville-Boisbrand Armada right winger Justin Carbonneau.
Great job. I love her.
All right, Nikki Glazer, man. She is funny. I'm pretty sure she's got a stand-up or two on Netflix, but you can go watch Nikki Glazer. She is very, very funny, but it is a guy that I think a lot of people think is going to be an impact player, winger Justin Carbonneau. I'm going to read you something ESPN.com put together in terms of a scouting report for Carbonneau, the 19th pick. Carbonneau possesses an offensive toolbox that teams covet, including powerful skating, eye-popping creativity. He projects as a second-line scoring forward with significant variance and is likely to end up as a middle six player who thrives against secondary matchups. Carbonneau can drive the offense with his playmaking and shooting ability and plays a well-rounded offensive game that includes playing through contact, excellent puck handling skills, and above-average skating. And at least here, there are tools to become a very effective power forward in the NHL who can score 25 goals if he adds a cerebral component to his game. Now, there are many more breakdowns in terms of the scouting report, but that is a very solid scouting report for Carbonneau.
Yeah, Army added to that. He talked about him. He said that, look, he's a goal scorer, someone that can enjoy the fruits of his labor for scoring goals, somebody who can bring us another element. He said he's a good complement to Snuggerud, Kyrou, Bolduc, Booch, and Holly, who are goal scorers as well for the Blues. So a lot of people were hoping to get maybe a center in the first round, Eric, maybe a defenseman. Those were the two areas where the Blues need the most help, right? And that's what was the hope. But there were a ton of centers, a ton of defensemen that were picked before him, and this seemed to be the best player on the board at that point at the 19th pick. I like the pick. Again, would I have liked some other guys before him? Yes, but that wasn't the case. They were gone at that point, but Carbonneau is a guy that can score goals. He's a guy that played football in high school in Canada, and he said that he enjoyed being a linebacker and a running back because he was able to hit people. So he actually welcomes the physicality. That's the type of guy I want in a hockey player, Eric, is a guy that welcomes the physicality, and that is Justin Carbonneau.
I'm all for it. So, Nikki Glazer, I think it was cool that the NHL did that.
Yeah, they did a decentralized draft this year to where it was all, teams, not like the NFL draft where everyone is in one spot, like everyone was in Green Bay, right, this past year. So they kind of almost had like a Zoom type of draft. So it was different, but it was also an opportunity for things like that to happen with Nikki Glazer, to jump on and introduce the picks and stuff like that. They had, I don't know if you saw Johnny Gaudreau's wife for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Of course, he passed away, but they had his wife come on and announce the picks. She got a huge ovation. Yeah. So some things like that could happen because of that, and that was neat.
All right. That is going to do it for us. Rusty back tomorrow and Wednesday with us. We will not have a show Friday. The Squirrels are leaving very early to head to a tournament in Columbia, Tennessee. So Rusty will be here through Wednesday. Mike Rennick back for a quick appearance on Thursday. We want to remind you, Cardinals-Pirates tonight. Eric Fetty, lefty Andrew Haney, 5:40, and you do not have to search for Roku. You do not have to search for Apple TV. Good old-fashioned FanDuel Sports Network.
Good. I'm happy about that.
All right. Say hello to the radiant and ravishing Dawn Shawn. She is going to get ready for coming off a 12-hour shift, and she's getting ready for another one later tonight. So hope she has a wonderful day. And as far as getting ready for this 3-game series in Pittsburgh, you're playing a team that's got a little confidence here, Rusty. They just punished the New York Mets over the weekend. If you're the Cardinals, you have fought and scraped and clawed to get back to 500 on the road. They are a road team that is 500. Don't let all of the momentum that you got in Cleveland go away because you can't beat the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Only as good as the next day's starting pitcher, right? So Fetty's had some struggles this year. Let's have a good start tonight, Eric. Let's go.
It'll be Skeens tomorrow, and then Mitch Keller, former All-Star, coming off a victory. I don't know if people were following Mitch Keller, despite a sub-4 ERA.
Hadn't won.
1-10,
yeah.
And he won his last time out, so he's now 2-10, but a 390 earned run average. A lot like what you've seen from Paul Skeens. He leads the National League with a 2.12 ERA, but he has a 4-7 record because they never score runs when he's out there. The same with Keller. So we'll see if the Cardinals can keep the misery going. Andrew Haney will be on the mound again, 5:40. All right. Thanks for making the trip in, and we will reconvene tomorrow if that works for you.
All right, let's do it.
All right, that's Rusty. Stay tuned. We've got Clinton and Friends coming up on ESPN Radio. Hope you have a marvelous Monday, everybody.